Hey guys, I hope you're having a fantastic day. And today we're talking about the September 23rd, 2017 prophecy and the fact that it did not yield for us a rapture as a lot of us were expecting. To give you guys sort of an outline on what this video will be about is, number one, I'm going to talk about my opinion on why some of these prophecies like September 23rd, 2017 don't seem to come true or not in the way that we expect them to. Number two is my sources and why I was so confident that there wouldn't be a rapture on September 23rd, 2017. Number three will be a quick critique on the common rebuttal that I get when I express my views to other believers. And number four will be my encouragement to you guys and telling you where do we go from here. From what I can understand, a lot of these prophecies similar to September 23rd, 2017 all have something in common. And what that is the return of Christ, or a rapture. I think the issue is not necessarily with the prophecies themselves or whether or not they're actually true, but with the events that we're expecting to happen on the dates of those prophecies. For example, I'm post-trib, so that I did not expect a rapture to happen on September 23rd, 2017. If anything, I would have expected something else to happen, something else that would have led up to that. And so my main contention on this matter is not whether or not these prophecies like September 23rd are true, but rather whether or not we are having the wrong expectations of those prophecies. And so moving into number two is at this time that I'm going to share with anyone who is interested my sources for why I believe in a post-trib as opposed to a pre-trib rapture. And I highly encourage anyone watching this video to take the time to read and watch the sources that I'll be posting in the description section below. I know it's difficult to look at alternative viewpoints, but I do sincerely believe that you will find it valuable. Even if you don't agree with me, you may still find it beneficial to learn from an alternative point of view so that you can better understand your own views in relation to the views of others. And so the number one video that I would recommend you watch is by 119 Ministries, called Testing the Pre-Trib Rapture. They are excellent, they are thorough, and they do a wonderful job at presenting the evidence in a loving and kind way, and I highly recommend you check it out. The second one that I recommend is actually two videos by the Prophecy Club. They've been around for a long time, and I feel that they've done a great job on this topic as well. Another YouTuber that you might like to check out is called Unlearn the Lies. He has done several videos on the rapture, and I think that you will find his information useful as well. That was the main reason for this video, was for me to present an alternative idea for you guys to look into. Because as we have recently seen, the pre-trib rapture idea, when connected to prophecies, seems to be letting us down a bit, and it is my contention that perhaps this is happening because we may have the wrong conception or idea of what the rapture actually is, or more importantly, when it will take place. It is my submission to you guys that it actually takes place after the tribulation, and that the Church of God will be going through the tribulation. Which brings me to number three. A common rebuttal that I would get from someone who believes in the pre-trib is simply the saying that we are not appointed to wrath, or God would not do that to his people. So number one, for the sake of time, I will keep this brief and allow you to do your own research with the sources that I've given you guys in the description section below. But my response to the part about us not being subjugated to God's wrath is simply that the tribulation and God's wrath are in fact two different things, and that the tribulation is Satan's wrath when he is making war with the saints, and the wrath of God is God's wrath on Satan and his allies as punishment for them making war on the saints. So I believe that God's wrath and the tribulation are two separate things. Another thing that I would like to point out with the concept that God would not put his people through suffering and tribulation is all the verses that tell us that we would clearly suffer horrible things at the hands of those who hate us just for the namesake of Jesus Christ. And if we look through history, even starting in the New Testament, we know that a lot of the apostles, in fact the majority of them, died horrible deaths for the namesake of Jesus Christ. We can go through church history and see several times in certain eras, such as the Dark Ages, or the Roman times, or the persecution of the Catholic Church, where the true Church of God was oppressed and persecuted heavily to the point of death for their faith in Jesus Christ. And so it is my contention that if we look at this as a trend, I see no reason as why God would change that, and no reason why modern churches would be exempt from tribulation when all of the Christians leading up to us had gone through tribulations as well. So it is my contention that God does not take us away from tribulation or keep us out of bad situations altogether, but rather that He would give us the strength and the will and the courage to go through them regardless of what happens to us. And now we're nearing the end of this video with topic number 4. It is basically, where do we go from here? A lot of you are very disappointed. Perhaps your faith is even shaken. And I want to encourage you guys to keep studying and keep learning. Just because we misinterpreted a prophecy or ascribed a certain time and date to a different event that wasn't really meant to happen yet, doesn't mean that it won't happen, and doesn't mean that we should give up. Keep looking, keep awaiting the coming of Jesus Christ. He is coming. That is a promise. I would just advise you for the future to be more cautious when it comes to setting dates and making claims that Jesus will return. Because if you look up how many times Christ's return has been predicted, the list is rather long. And my issue with this is that atheists will look at us and say that our predictions aren't coming true because the Bible isn't true, therefore God doesn't exist, which we know is not the case. I would strongly urge you to express more caution in the future when it comes to making predictions of such a large magnitude. And in terms of when I believe we will see the return of Jesus Christ, as I said earlier in this video, is that I believe we will be raptured and meet Him in the air after the tribulation, and that the church is going through the tribulation. And I do personally believe that the tribulation is getting close, and that perhaps the September 23rd prophecy was meant to indicate that perhaps the tribulation is very, very near. And that would not surprise me given the world affairs that are going on right now. So I would really encourage you guys to review the sources that I've given you in the description section, and at least consider the possibility of a post-tribulation rapture. Thank you so much for your time. I love you all, and I'll see you next week.